Thank you very much. Secretary Gates, thank you for your introduction. I know I speak on behalf of President 41 when I say it has been a privilege for both of us to serve with this fine and distinguished man. I want to thank you all for coming. Laura and I are thrilled to be here to help commission an awesome ship and to honor an awesome man, President George H.W. Bush. To prepare for this day, I went back through some of my father's letters. I thought it was especially interesting to read one that he wrote in the late 1940s. He sent it to a friend. And here's what he said. He said, "You should see Georgie now. Whenever I come home, he greets me and talks a blue streak. Sentences disjointed, of course. He tries to say everything, and the results are often hilarious. Some things do not change." The aircraft carrier which we commissioned today may be the Navy's newest ship, but she has already had an interesting past. Her catapult testing took place during an unseasonable cold snap. Her christening was thrown into chaos by a fierce nor'easter. And during construction, the shipyard was closed down because of Hurricane Isabel. So in keeping with this ship's short history, I brought along an equally strong force of nature, my mother. Mr. Vice President and Lynn, thank you for joining us. Vice President Cheney has been a fabulous Vice President of the United States. Governor Kane, thank you for your welcoming remarks. Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice, I appreciate you joining us. Other members of the administration and their families, the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Admiral Mike Mullen, CNO Gary Ruffhead, Captain O'Flaherty, other members of the United States Armed Forces and their families, shipyard workers and managers, members of our family who have joined us, and all the friends of George H.W. Bush, we are glad you are here. The story of the USS George H.W. Bush begins in the early days of World War II, when our dad enlisted in the United States Navy. Like many servicemen deployed overseas, he was sustained by a girl he loved back home. From her dorm room, she knitted socks for him. In remote Pacific atolls, he collected seashells for her. And when he returned home from war, the first thing he did was to make her his bride. And for 64 years ago this week, the love of my father's life has been Barbara Bush. Over the years, our parents have built a family bound forever by closeness, warmth, and unconditional love. Jeb, Neil, Marvin, and Darrow and I will always feel blessed to have had the best father anyone could ever ask for. We will always be inspired by the faith, humor, patriotism, and compassion he taught us through his own example. And for as long as we live, we will carry with us Dad's other lessons, that integrity and honor are worth more than any title or treasure, and that the truest strength can come from the gentlest soul. George H.W. Bush has the deep love of his family, the admiration of his friends, and the thanks of a grateful nation. So today we are faced with So what do you give a guy who has been blessed and has just about everything he has ever needed? Well, an aircraft carrier. The ship that bears our dad's name is more than 95,000 tons of aluminum and steel. She will carry nearly 6,000 of the finest sailors and Marines in the world. She represents the craftsmanship of many skilled builders and thousands of hours of preparation. And so I congratulate all of you on this tremendous achievement. The ship is a fitting tribute to a generation of men with whom my dad was privileged to serve. She's also a tribute to a new generation of American soldiers and sailors and Coast Guard men and women, airmen and Marines, who have stepped forward to defend the United States of America. Again, our troops are facing down a brutal enemy. Again, they are making America and the world safer. And again, they will come home in victory. People often ask what I treasure most about being the president. Nothing comes close to the honor of being your commander-in-chief. Every day I'm amazed by the skill and courage of our men and women in uniform. And as we send the USS George HW Bush into service, I know you will do credit to the sailors who served before you and the good man for whom this ship is named. I ask that God protect this ship and let her know only victory and peace. And I ask God's continued blessings on our wonderful nation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Secretary Winter, will you please join me and assist in placing George H.W. Bush in commission?
Mr. President, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is a great honor to be here this morning. Since ancient times, there have been sacred traditions associated with the christening, launching, and commissioning of ships. Wherever we look into the pages of our distant past, the process of bringing a ship to life was accorded special meaning by the mariners whose lives and fortunes would henceforth be intimately connected to the vessel that would take them far from shore. Given the vast size, awesome power, and unpredictable nature of the sea, mariners instinctively turned to divine protection in welcoming the birth of a new ship. Thus, the rituals that accompanied this process acquired a formal, solemn status and traditions that have carried through to our own times. The relationship between sailors and a warship is even more significant, as all sailors know that their safety and their lives depend on the quality, readiness, and performance of their ship. The lengthy period of time and many long days that follow a ship's christening impress into the minds of every sailor that the goal that all are working towards, the ship's commissioning, is not easily achieved. Today, that goal has come to fruition. Today, the hard work and ingenious efforts of many to bring about this moment have finally paid off. This is a ship that will make history, and today marks the first day of an illustrious journey. Of all the commissioning ceremonies that I have had the honor to participate in, Today's ceremony stands out above them all. Nothing else compares to the arrival of a new nuclear-powered carrier in our fleet. The impact of a new carrier is global, for no other ship represents to the world the power of the United States the way this does. Remember it always, and strive to forever make your nation proud of this magnificent warship. It is now my great honor to invite the President to place the ship in commission. Mr. President.